Hello people, it's me, Libluini, with another turn in our multiplayer let's play. As you can see, some stuff happens this turn again, and also, man, I'm so glad that I'm using a new recording software. So as soon as my backlog episodes are done, I can make some real commentary instead of this after commentary crap, which is a real headache to coordinate with my actual recordings. So as you can see here, I'm moving something, building a temple, and building province defense after I got my province back here. And wow, yes, there are a lot of units in my capital and on their way down to the south. As you can see, we are now in the part of the game where my southern neighbor is dead and eaten, and we'll soon go over and try to eat another one, Mictlan in our case. Fantasy Aztec land. This army moves there. Then I'm still forging crap in my capital. I'm also building a couple more temples, so this weird enemy dominion intrusion, the black candles you can see here, will be dealt with soon. Also, I'm still somewhat annoyed that this huge forest is kind of splitting my empire into multiple spaces. It's also something which will cause a lot of trouble in the future if someone uses a global spell involving shenanigans with forests. There is one continuously causing attacks in forest provinces, which means I'm in a bit of trouble because I have so many of them. Bogarus lost some units. Let's take a look. Yeah, that's basically a huge block of the most expensive units Bogarus has, and a large communion of Astra Pelagists. Basically passable level 2 air mages plus Astral. One path only, but enough to make a communion of strong and powerful mages. And here, Bogarus tries giving hell to those stone fuckers on the east side. Essentially using his communion to rain down a never-ending stream of thunder strikes. Too bad, the enemy can do the same. So it's basically whoever shoots the most thunder strikes from the heavens wins. Oh, gifts from heaven, that's an evil and powerful spell, essentially causing meteorites to rain from the heavens and you sort of doing tons of damage to a huge space around them. As most spells of that caliber, they are best to fight huge blocks of enemy units, like coincidentally this one. And it seems like the huge block of Astra Pelagists has run out of scripting and is now just summoning whatever their dumb artificial intelligence will tell them, which is not much. Watchers, as you saw just are kind of hard to kill, and they can shoot out lots of dangerous crap. Luckily only the monolith is now causing trouble with his meteorite strikes. And also, as you saw, air elementals can't trample watchers, instead they're just wait, did that actually work? Wow, now that's weird. So sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. Or did the watchers move? Man, I have to look this over a while. Anyway, the monolith is dead, and the last watcher is dying now too. The end. That actually worked, even though about 60 of those cavalry units died. But well, it was a solid victory. And I learned something about trampling. E.g., either it actually works against watchers or that watcher was just coincidentally getting hit by something else just when that elemental moved. Anyway, down in the south all my fortresses have been finished. Priests are priestering, temples have been built, so Yomon is now running out of candles and should soon be eliminated from the game. Then I'm still building some more fortifications just to make things harder in case Yomon attacks. And it's time to throw down with Mictlan's army besieging my new acquisition down in the south. Yes, this means large-scale battle next turn. And again, nearly 60 units just standing around in the garrison. That's the problem with this maximum money game. The longer the game is going, the harder it gets to coordinate all this crap you're recruiting. Luckily, one of my enemies in the future will help me out with that, but this will cause other problems in exchange. But I don't want to spoil anything. You will see soon enough. Anyway, it's again scripting time with all those stupid mages. Yes, of course, not all Harab Seraphs have level 2 death, which means I need to use multiple scriptings, so every mage can do something useful, like Banefire for example. Banefire is useful because it not only ignores armor, partially, armor piercing doesn't actually neutralize all protection, just bypasses most of it. And it's useful because it causes decay, which is a nasty status effect, slowly killing everything down to death. And I think it also works on undead. At least I think I have seen some undead units slowly decaying down to 0 hit points. Strangely enough, this is lightning, phantasmal warrior. Yes, it summons one illusionary warrior and nothing else. The funny thing is I don't ever have to script certain spells like phantasmal warrior, because if the scripting runs out, the mage capable of casting that spell will for some reason do it over and over again. Apparently there is some kind of weighting behind AI causing them to prefer summoning spells for some dumb reason. In the last More Money More Problems game, this caused multiple crashes, at least on my side, when giant hordes of mages cast those low-level summon spells over and over again, causing long-running sieges to turn into a giant nightmare of thousands and thousands of units being teleported onto the battlefield. It got kind of silly. I think there was at least one battle where I technically only won, because after a certain point the game just kind of gave up, declared the pretender dead, and that was it. I couldn't actually watch it because watching a battle in Dominion Sphere coding terms means actually redoing everything, and there are cases where the battle report you're getting and the battle you're watching will have different outcomes because of some random number bullshit happening. The funny thing is, in terms of what is real and what is not, the report you are reading is the final say on what has happened. So if, for example, the battle report says you have lost, and rewatching the battle shows you actually winning, then you're, well, tough luck. The report says you've lost. Better luck next time. The reverse is also true. So, in a cinch, only believe your written reports is what I'm getting at. Besides, in this game there will sooner or later be cases where the giant game-crashing battles will return. I hope not. Right now everything works somewhat, but soon the age of battle magic will start. Just look at this. Already I have multiple mages casting hordes of skeletons to summon multiple skeleton soldiers in battle. And in this case it's nice that sometimes my level 2 mages will continue to cast the spell after they regain some fatigue, because Horde of Skeletons is actually a kind of intensive spell to cast, very useful, especially if you have tons of mages, but it also costs I think 40 fatigue or so normally you can expect your mages to cast it 3 turns, then that's it. They're all sleeping for a couple turns before luckily they tend to cast it again, because Hordes of Skeletons is another spell the AI likes to use, and in this case at least it's a useful spell. So as you can see, I have now multiple scripting, so I can easily assign whatever one of my Harab Seraphs can. Later on I will experiment with naming mages with alphanumerical codes, so I can better remember which one can take which scripting. But in effect it doesn't work out so well, because in this gimmick game there are not only tons of mages around, there will also be tons of very costly battles for every side, erasing all your extensive scripting and renaming in a single battle. Anyway, I've talked and talked and talked, and yet I'm still scripting my mages. This one was scripted to retreat for some reason. I guess I used him for site searching or something. Harab Elders are a bit more useful, but in a standard they come with something like 2 air and 2 death, and then some randoms thrown in to make them stronger or to add some variance. The good ones have something like air 3, which makes them natural Thunderstrike casters and allows them to cast Storm, so other air mages can make themselves stronger as long as they have path 2 air, because only at level 2 can a air mage cast the spell to drain energy from a storm and get even stronger. And since most of my Harab Seraphs have a random assortment of air and death and fire and earth, that's not something I can rely on. Just look at this, for example, there are tons of Banefire casters simply because I didn't know any better. Later on I was feverishly looking at my research spells to find out if there wasn't something better I could give to my less able mages to do, and found out there is a neat spell you will see in the future, where I will be talking extensively about it, solely usable by Calum mages, and actually a good mage, a good spell for weak mages, weak Calumite mages, because they demand air and earth at the same time, which isn't a path combination you will see often outside of winged birdman nations. But anyway, right now I haven't thought so far ahead, and I'm still mostly using level 2 air and level 2 death mages, and only Banefire mage, and I'm only using the ones with an additional rank in fire magic because I'm sometimes playing other undead nations, real undead nations who are using Banefire darts and similar spells more often, since the combination of death and fire shows up more often over there. So it's basically only there because, well, I know about it. But as I later learn, you never learn enough. There's always something you're forgetting, and the more complicated the game becomes, the more you have to juggle armies and units and commanders and magic around, the more chaotic will things become. Sooner or later, it's not about who can do the most impressive thing, it's about who has the most monumental fortitude or who makes the less errors. And sometimes it's just random bullshit happening and you can't do anything except shrug, I guess. And I'm still not finished with scripting. Holy shit. At this point I think I should have cut out some of this, but it's too late. I've nearly babbled around for 17 minutes already. Script. Lord, just look at all those mammoths. You may remember the best way to use those stupid trampler units of elephant bases by putting some all in the middle with ideally multiple squads where they have a free way to the enemy and back. And experimenting also showed me that letting them wait around with hold and attack for multiple rounds doesn't work out so well, since they are still quite vulnerable. I got lucky there then and then, but really the best way to use them is to let them storm forward and hope for the best. As you saw in multiple battles, they actually work quite well together with winged units, because more often than not, my winged units would, after several turns of waiting, attack, thanks to being equipped with wings, fly over to the enemy in a single turn, and since there are huge blocks of winged infantry were on the flanks, they tend to end up at the flanks of the enemy army and even behind them sometimes, while my tramplers come from the west, let's say. So the enemy will be unable to move out of the way, and in multiple battles there was just a huge, incredible slaughter when my tramplers trampled through the enemy units while my winged soldiers stabbed them from all sides. And when the enemy units finally started to run away, they were trapped and got even worse trampled down. The one drawback is, of course, with this huge mess created in the middle of the battlefield, if your elephants start running away, they will do some damage. But as I learned, with most of my army positioned far out of the way and then flying even further away from the back, the few times they did root and run away my elephants, my mammoths often missed basically every unit possible and just run clear without hitting anything. Also, a neat thing I didn't know, trampling only works against your own units if your tramplers are scared, and because when they are scared and run away, they're not really counting as your own side anymore. And as long as they are counting as your own side, it's basically impossible for them to hit your own units, because, well, the AI controls the movement and will never move your own units under the feet of your own tramplers, only if your own side loses control somehow, shit happens. That's why running elephants are a terrible sight to behold if you notice them getting close to one of your larger stacks of units. And finally, I've babbled for long enough to end this turn, and as you can see, I'm moving a second army around there, a third there, some scouts are moving, and that's basically it for this turn. Well, Libluini signs out. We see each other again next turn. Goodbye.